Alright guys, so basically today I'm going to be talking about how I was reading the market today, why I wasn't scared, where exactly I knew the market was going to go. So I had a lot of questions already about like, hey, how did you know the SP 500 was going to hit $413? And then how did you know it was going to proceed to hit $415 today? So basically that is just all on your levels, and think of levels as ranges between where a stock will go. It can only bounce between those ranges, and once a stock breaks a level, resistance becomes support. So then the stock has a hard time falling below that level. So basically how I always start out my day before I start trading is I look at what happened yesterday. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my daily chart, and I'm going to scroll all the way to what happened yesterday. So this is today. We hit 415.68 and we ended up closing at 414.45. So let's not look at that yet, but what I am going to do is I'm going to create a level, and I'm going to create a horizontal line of my yesterday high, which should be around right here, and my yesterday low, which is around right here. So I marked those levels, and what did I notice? I noticed that, hey, 406.96 was a level that this candle reached. It broke above it, and we can see how we kind of touched it down here. If you can see the little tail, but it became support, so we only went up, but we couldn't break past 413.03. And because we couldn't break past 413.03, we went down. So yesterday we opened down, or 2 days ago we opened down. And then we tried to reach 413.03 again, couldn't do it. The next day, which was yesterday, our peak was 413.03, it looks like, or around that. Let's see, yesterday the high was 413. We tried to hit 413, couldn't break it, so we dropped all the way down. But this 406 line became support. So now we are going to be bouncing anywhere between 406.96 all the way between 413.03. Now there was a possibility we would have dropped below this level, and if we would have dropped below this level, or below our 406 line, then I knew we were in trouble, and we probably should buy puts. If this morning I woke up and I saw SPY below 406.96, if I saw SPY below 407, I would buy puts, because now this level right here is no longer support, it's resistance. Right here it became resistance, right here it became support. So knowing that and seeing that happen, we actually opened up today at, let's see what price. We opened at 410.30. So that was very interesting. We opened at 410.30 today. And going from 406 to 410, we opened up $4 ahead of where we were yesterday. That was pretty interesting. So now that I know my pre-market and yesterday's data, or well, I don't know my pre-market, I know yesterday's data. I'm going to go to my minute chart, and I'm going to look at what the hell happened during pre-market hours. As you can see, my lines are still consistent. So I'm going to go all the way down here, and I'm going to look at what happened yesterday. Yesterday, we were in a trend down. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my trend line, and I'm just going to mark it that, hey, we were going down, and we went down, peaked up, and just kept going down. It looked like we were about to bottom out at 407.68, which was actually our bottom. We did bottom out at 467.68. So I'm going to mark that on my chart. See if I can get my level. 407.68. So I'll mark that on my chart. And during this entire pre-market time, after hours, we did trend upwards. That's always a good indicator of what's going to happen tomorrow. If after hours we're going up, even if the market absolutely shitted, but eventually in after hours we start seeing a trend up, I'll be more confident in the faith of what's going to happen tomorrow. Now we hit 408. Yes, during, wow, it looks like a load yesterday. And then coming into this morning, we gapped so many levels. And here's the thing about gaps. Gaps love to fill. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do this. Between these levels, looks like 409.23 and 409.67, there was just a gap of 0.05%. Gaps love to fill. Looks like we topped out at 410, 410.27, and we just kept going. As we got more volume, 411 was our peak. And I love seeing that because usually stocks have a tendency, or the S&P 500 has a tendency to touch its pre-market highs. So opening up, pretty simple. We actually opened up pretty high in our market compared to yesterday. Like, the pre-market didn't slow. And one big thing about the SPY is sometimes if it opens up too high, and I don't want to say too high, but sometimes when it opens up high, it has a tendency just to fall and just keep going. But immediately off the gate, we weren't far from our pre-market high. And the second we broke it, I had a lot of confidence that we were going to 413 at least. 413, how do I get that number? Go back to our daily chart. Where's our levels from all these previous days? Let's go back. So it looks like we topped out right here, 415. 415.64. Does that level sound familiar? Let's mark it. How much you want to bet we probably ended around there, or at least touching it? Wow, 415.68. I think the other one said 64. Yeah, 4-cent difference. 415. That's kind of how I knew we were going to 415. I knew a 413 from one of these other candles I was looking at around here. I knew 413 from these candles. But, I mean, I had my levels marked earlier, but I deleted them for this video. So, I guess doing both of those. But how I found that out is because, hey, man, previously we showed lines right here. Doesn't this look like a 415 looks like a major resistance for the SPY. So, if we break 415, I'm going to be looking at around, let's see, I want to see a good level. Oh, look, and even going down, we kind of bounced around this 415 levels and stuff like that. I think I'd be looking around 420, 422, 25. That will be my predictions for tomorrow. Let's see. I want to get something that kind of crosses all these candles to the best of its abilities. Let's see. What's these bottoms outcomes? See, this is like 420. Anywhere from 420 to 422 would be my next prediction. I could look at these guys. What did these guys top out at? 425, 423, 416. I just say anywhere between 420 and 425 could be the next possible gaps or levels. I mean, this seems too high. 425 seems more realistic to me. Just looking at this, I mean, you can't get perfect levels, but you can get a good ballpark. And that's what I did. I literally looked right here a couple weeks back, saw, hey, 415 is a good resistance. Broke 413, which we touched multiple times. We touched 413.03 multiple times, and we broke it. I looked back, I saw 415 on the mark. That was our next resistance. Now, we couldn't hold 415. We actually dipped below it, and we closed at 414.45, which, honestly, I think tomorrow, if we open up at 415, I'm probably going to be doing heavy calls, because the next level from 415 is going to be 420 to 425. And that is a huge gap, considering that, like, hey, that's like almost $5-10. But, I mean, just look at it. We're looking at 67 million volume. I honestly think we could honestly do it. We gapped from a low of 410 to 415. I think we can gap another $5. And that would be a pretty good candle. Or maybe tomorrow we might even open up $10 in the plus. You know what I mean? Like, we might open up at 420 tomorrow and then run to 425. That's honestly how this could work. If we open up 420 and we start running down, then we're going to 415. That's where my next level would be at, 415 puts. But anyways, you really can't decide whether you're going to do calls or puts based on how the market is, like, just how it starts off, other than with these levels. I didn't know. All I knew is that SPY was going to be bouncing anywhere between 407 and 411, right? Now, I saw that we dipped to 408. I like to mark all my lows, so I know we went to 408 here. We went to 408 here. We went to 411 there. And then immediately as the market opened, we went to 410. So I marked 410 because that's also, whole dollar amounts could also be levels as well, guys. Don't let that discriminate. Usually, sometimes levels are around like 411, 21, 22. Those could be levels, but also whole dollar increments are also good levels too. So don't let that be a discriminating factor. Their key resistance, like today, 415 was a resistance. Now, was it 415 or was it 415 like 65, 64? That was our actual resistance, an extra 60 cents. But if I'm swing trading, I know what my strike prices are going to be, or even anywhere close to that strike price. So I grabbed those 410. At 410, I immediately saw, I just didn't see a lot of volume looking into this first candle here. So we always start out with really high volume, 1 mil. Then we got a 200K down volume. That wasn't, a lot of volume. 165. I wasn't seeing a lot of volume until after we broke 411. So we reached our pre-market high pretty fucking fast. We never even touched pre-market lows, but we were raising. Now there's always a switch. I'm always very cautious of my switch when the market likes to trend down like this. So, and most people I talk stocks with, we call this a famous switch. Is when the market starts running and then bears take over and they want to switch it, or the bulls take over and they switch the market. Happens a lot. Now, overall, our general trend was upwards. However, right here, we were just in this big consolidation period where we didn't know what the fuck we were going to do. Something that did help as a key indicator were my 30-minute candles. So we opened up green for 30 minutes, all the way from 9:30 to 10. We opened up green. So 9:30 to 10, that was pretty green, technically. But I do want to say that we had our switch, and we went from 449K volume, which I also would mark my highs here. Forgot to do that. So second, anytime I see a candle flag and top at a certain price and it can't break through something, I usually mark that as a level. Trying to get this as accurate as possible. Boom. Whatever. So I try to get that as accurate as possible so I know where my levels are going to be, because that was a high if it can't break highs. So we did trend down, and we actually trended down to, I think, we trended down to here, but I don't know what really marks that. So I'm actually, if it's a flag downwards, I'm more likely going to copy the base of the candle, because that's what, if it's upwards, I copy the high flag. If it's just going downwards, I copy wherever it closed at. Majority of the time, unless there's a bunch of candles that flag around the same area. But if they all base at the same area too, I'm more likely going to go with the base. We had this we kind of had diminishing volume in this area. And this is also where option calls probably lost the most amount of money. Like in this span right here, we lost a lot of money in options. Like puts probably shot up in value. Call options probably lost a majority of their value because options like to be priced pretty high opening market. And then this didn't help it. This probably killed a lot of call premiums. And then this trend down probably killed a lot of call premiums. So we had another run. This volume kind of restated my mindset. Couple, just reading your candles, 120, 120, and then we had 136 red volume. We had quite a bit of green volume. Red volume at 953. we kind of stagnated quite a bit. It was a red volume candle, but we really didn't move. When you have a lot of volume and it doesn't work in your favor. So anyways, I got distracted. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I just kind of looked at the volumes here. 120, 136, 143. When we have a lot of volume in a candle but not a lot of movement, that's kind of scary because it could go either way. We still trended up, and I wonder if you guys noticed this, but notice how we started above our EMA line. We dipped below our EMA lines, all these lines here, and then we shot right back up above them. And then we kind of stayed above our EMA lines, and every time we dipped down, we went right back above them. So that's a pretty good indicator. So that's why when we here at this moment, honestly, guys, there was a lot of news today about Nancy Pelosi, and not trying to be political, but every time there's news about her, the market has to dip somehow. So we dipped below all of our EMA lines and even our VWAP, and we kind of stagnated here. But I actually took the opportunity to buy a fuck ton of calls. We shot up, and then we shot back down because the whole Taiwan news and Nancy Pelosi being there trying to start World War III on us. Then we shot down. I didn't care too much because overall the market was a good day and we were going to be back above our EMA lines. So we kind of held, I call this consolidation period or stagnation period, some people call it. So it's just where we just kind of trend sideways. We're below our EMA lines, was still confident in my positions, bought more here. We shot up and we just went fucking sent. And every time we peaked and then we'd go down, I'd always mark out my tops. So every time we broke it, I'd mark it. We went down, broke it, just kept going. And this is the trend of a good market. Here, we broke down below our EMA lines, if I can get my trend line things. Here we broke below our EMA lines, and not necessarily our VWAP, just by the EMA 8s, 8s, 10s, and 21s. What should you have done here? Second you broke below them, you should have bought calls, because what happened next minute? Boom, we're shooting. If you would have bought calls right there and moved it all the way up, and 69 cents, you would have, it's a $70 play, 70% play even, if you go as far as that. Here's consolidation period, all right here on market. This is kind of a consolidation period. We really didn't trend much up or down. We broke below our EMA lines, broke above them, and every time we broke above them, we were just going slightly higher and higher and higher. Eventually, we were breaking new lows, we're breaking new highs, and we were just consistently gaining traction and momentum. Broke below our EMA here, went above it. Every time we broke below it, we just went above. And so anytime I saw a red candle like that, I wasn't scared, I wasn't nervous. It didn't even take a low volume. Some people would call this a low volume pop-up, right? 82, 58, 64 compared to 156,000 sell volume. I think that's just good volume. I just think the chart wanted it to go up. We broke 415 here, and the rest kind of sells itself. I'm going to end the video here, but I hope you guys enjoyed all that information. Watch it a couple times, and feel free to ask any questions you may have. Have a good one.